There is a conversation you had weeks ago that you still cannot stop replaying. Not because it was important, because it was unfinished. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. In 1927, a psychology student named Bluma Zeigarnik was sitting in a restaurant in Vienna with her professor, Kurt Lewin. They noticed something strange about their waiter. He could remember every order at every table in precise detail, despite never writing a single thing down. But the moment a table paid and left, the information vanished. He had no memory of those customers, what they ordered, or where they had been seated. It was as if completing the transaction erased it entirely. Zeigarnik became fascinated by this. She returned to her laboratory at the University of Berlin and designed a series of experiments to test what she had observed. She gave participants a set of tasks. Some were allowed to finish, others were interrupted partway through. Then she asked them to recall what they had been doing. The results were decisive. Participants remembered interrupted tasks approximately 90% better than completed ones. Not slightly better, 90%. The unfinished tasks dominated memory. The finished ones had largely disappeared. Zeigarnik published her findings in 1927 in a paper titled On Finished and Unfinished Tasks. The phenomenon now bears her name. But the reason it happens is what makes it genuinely important. Kurt Lewin's field theory provides the explanation. When you begin any task, any goal, any conversation, any process, your brain opens what researchers call attention system, a state of psychological activation directed toward completion. This tension system does one thing. It keeps the unfinished item accessible in working memory. It flags it. It resurfaces it. It keeps nudging you back toward it. Because as far as your brain is concerned, an open loop is a liability. Something started and not finished represents an unresolved demand on your cognitive resources. The tension only releases when the task is completed or abandoned entirely. Until then, the loop stays open. This is why you can walk out of a difficult conversation that ended without resolution and find yourself replaying it for days. Your brain is not being sentimental. It is holding the loop open, waiting for a resolution that never came. This is why a television show that ends on a cliffhanger is more memorable than one with a satisfying conclusion. The unresolved narrative creates tension. The tension keeps the show in your working memory. Streaming platforms understood this before most people did. The autoplay feature that rolls the next episode before you have fully processed the last one is not a convenience. It is a deliberate exploitation of the Zeigarnik effect. By starting the next episode before the previous one fully closes, the platform prevents your brain from completing the loop. The result is that you keep watching because your brain is chasing a resolution it never gets. Advertisers learned the same lesson decades earlier. A campaign that poses a question without immediately answering it outperforms one that delivers a complete message. A slogan that implies rather than states forces the brain to complete the thought. Every time it completes that thought, the brand resurfaces. The open loop is doing the work. But the Zeigarnik effect operates in places that have nothing to do with productivity or advertising. Think about the relationships that occupy the most mental space in your life, not the ones that ended cleanly, the ones that never resolved, the conversation that got cut off, the apology that never came, the version of events you never got to hear. These stay open because your brain is still holding the tension of an incomplete loop. It is not grief. It is not weakness. It is a cognitive system that was designed to flag unresolved information as important and keep it accessible until closure arrives. The uncomfortable implication is this. Closure is not just an emotional concept. It is a neurological event. When a loop closes, the tension system releases and the memory loses its privileged position in working memory. It can begin to fade. Without closure, it cannot. Which means some of what you carry is not about the depth of the experience. It is about whether the loop was ever allowed to close.